What's up guys, Dragonball Black here, and today I wanted to go ahead and tell you how the last episode of Dragon Ball Super was the worst episode that I have ever seen of Dragon Ball Super. And I'm not going to go ahead and give it a reprieve because it's, filler. There has been a bunch of filler so far in Dragon Ball Super, and all of it has either told an interesting story, added to the characters in some sort of way, and hasn't been this level of shit at all. This is probably one of the worst, I would say even filler episodes from Dragon Ball Z. I would rather see Goku and Piccolo take a driving test again than watch this piece of garbage. So let's go ahead and see exactly where this episode went wrong. Episode 73 of Dragon Ball Super started this little tiny Gohan arc where they're going to make a Saiyaman movie, and Gohan finds himself in the middle of it playing as an extra or a stunt guy at some point. And so this episode itself, episode 73, isn't so bad. It's interesting in a sort of way to see the Great Saiyaman become a movie and have it be, see the kind of like that dynamic of Gohan putting up the tights and then, trying to get back into them, I guess, at some point. And the whole thing with Jocko in the beginning of the episode where he's got this little mutant mind controlling, I guess, bug or something like that, and it escapes. That's also interesting in and of itself in episode 73, but the culmination of it in episode 74 is just terrible. It's god awful. And so let me go ahead and give you guys just a little bit of what happened in 73. In 73, we get this pop star guy who's playing Great Saiyaman, and he's kind of a dick, and Videl kind of blows him off, and that's kind of why he's mad at Gohan. Gohan ends up becoming a stuntman, getting more praise than him. And so that's when he starts being, trying to set Gohan up. And that goes into episode 74, where Gohan decides at some point, this girl who is one of the co-stars, her name's Coco, she finds out that Gohan is actual Great Saiyaman. So she has a crush on Great Saiyaman, and so she asks Gohan to help her recite lines and help her out with lines. And so Gohan decides to go ahead and do that, and so he goes with her to her house to go recite these lines and help her out. And at first I'm thinking, Gohan, don't you have a job to get to? Don't you got to go to work? Don't you have a wife that's at home who has a kid, has her baby with her, and just and you're going out with this girl? Even Jocko mentions it in the beginning of the episode where he shoots that laser at them, thinking that Gohan, or the Great Saiyaman, is the one that the bug had controlled their mind. He was like, oh, if you don't tell anybody that I lost this criminal, I won't tell Bulma about this sky date you're having with this girl. And Gohan's like, oh no, it's not what you think, blah blah blah. But it is what you think. It is what is going on, basically, essentially. And Gohan is, I can believe Gohan being as oblivious as Goku is to certain aspects of it or whatever. But what happens is that I guess this bad guy, which is the star of the whole thing, hired this girl, or not hired her, but kind of blackmailed her into cozying up with Gohan. And then he was going to have a photographer outside the house take pictures of him and put him in a very incriminating light. And so this happens, and shenanigans ensue, where he goes, and when he gets back home, well, actually, let me go back to the house. Coco actually kisses him right before they leave, and that's when the guy takes pictures of him. And Gohan freaks out. It's just the most embarrassing way that I've ever, and especially with the Japanese voice, it was so, I laughed out loud when I heard him freak out after she kissed him. It was hilarious. And so he goes back to his own house, and that's where he's with Videl, and he's trying to figure out how to tell Videl that this girl fucking just kissed him. And then the guy comes over the house and shows him pictures of him in the sky date and going to the house, and then the girl kissing him, and Videl's kind of all, it's like that moment where her face is all shaded out and stuff like that, she's thinking or whatever, and Gohan's trying to explain himself, but he really can't. And at this point I'm like, this is actually really interesting. When she kissed Gohan, I'm like, even though this is filler, I'm like, wow, this is a pretty interesting dynamic. I wonder if this is gonna, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna really push with this? Are they gonna go along with this? Is it gonna be something like where, Pan's gonna grow up in a broken home, and that's gonna make who Pan is as a person? Like it was an interesting push. But then Videl just says, "Oh, did me turning you down really upset you so much that you have to resort to this?" I know Gohan's not like that. I know Gohan has to have an explanation of why he was making out with this girl at her house in the middle of the night, because it was actually almost morning time by the time, and she stayed up for him too. It was almost morning time. She's like, I'm perfectly sure he's got an excuse for, go, even though he's not an actor, he's just a stuntman, going to her house in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of the morning, making out with her. Yeah, he's got, and then her friend Jocko even saw them. I'm sure he's got an alibi. It's all good. And that's the one thing about Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Z, is that this is what they do. This is one thing that I've really ragged on them for, is that they get these kick-ass female characters and then they house them. Is what happens. They did the same thing with Chi-Chi, they did the same thing with 18, and now they did the same thing with Videl. Videl was actually a badass, and the old Videl that was with Gohan at first, or even at any point in the Buu saga, would have been like kicking his ass or something, And no, she's like, it's fine. It's all good. And so that part is just utter bullshit. So the guy leaves the house, he's all pissed off, and that's when the bug thing takes control of him. And we've seen this bug thing take control of someone before, and Gohan essentially kicked that guy, and the bug thing came out of him and he was knocked out or whatever. So that, just keep that in mind. And so Gohan goes and tries to explain to Videl what is going on in front of Pan while Pan's sleeping. And then the funniest moment, which is honestly, this episode has just such shitty animation in my opinion, compared to any other, even the last couple episodes, even the one with Aurelie, it's got worse animation than that in my opinion. And one of the most hilarious moments in this episode, we get to see this guy who's controlled by this evil thing that essentially draws out all the darkness and evil. And if you're that much more evil inside in your heart, then you become that much more stronger. And he breaks through the wall in slow motion and just knocks Gohan out. While Gohan's in this great Saiyaman outfit, just knocks his ass out. Gohan's knocked out. He's like lifting him up by this collar. He throws him on the ground. He kidnaps Pan and goes to the top of the tower of the movie. Are you kidding me? In the last episode of the Goku Black arc, we see Gohan, and Gohan's been training with Piccolo. They said Gohan is his ultimate form again. They say, but he got knocked out by a human controlled by some sort of parasite. I mean, we don't know the level of bullshit that this parasite can make someone stronger, except for the evil in their heart, is what Jocko says. But come on, man, this is a filler episode. This is a filler villain, quote unquote villain, and he knocked out Gohan in like one hit. What the hell, man? This is right before the Universal 6 tournament, where we got that scan with all the fighters in the tournament. We get to see Gohan. He looks like he's in his ultimate Gohan form, or he's at least looking like ultimate Gohan, and now he's fucking knocked out. Like, this is worse than Gohan getting knocked out by Frieza, first form Frieza, in the Golden Frieza arc. This is a lot worse than that. It's just god awful. Dude, I was laughing the entire time. That's not even the worst part. We get to the very end, and this thing transforms this guy into a great ape. It's the fucking Donkey Kong. He transforms into Donkey Kong, a big ape guy, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Apparently, he's still strong enough where Gohan is like, oh, he's too strong. And then he transforms into this giant monster thing, and then knocks Gohan into the stratosphere. Gohan's all knocked out, and Coco's freaking out because she thinks that Gohan is dead. And then Videl does this cheesy ass fucking Katara from Last Avatar speech, how Gohan will never lose if he's in front of Pan or some bullshit like that. Which, I mean, I understand they're pushing the shit with Pan, that she's gonna be strong, but I'm hoping they don't have some cheesy ass fucking episodes of Pan when and if they have this time skip. But anyway, going into it, he comes back, he's Super Saiyan, he fights this creature and destroys them with a Kamehameha, or whatever the case might be. I don't know, I started losing interest at this point. And so that's the end of the episode. And so Jocko has the guy and he captures the little thing, and I don't even think Gohan at the end explains himself about why he was kissing that girl. It just kind of ends. and I'm just like, this is like the worst episode of Dragon Ball. Even there has been no filler episodes. Even the Aurelia episode was entertaining because they talked about it being a parody or a gag episode, and that Aurelia was a gag character. And it was interesting at some level, but this episode, it was meant to be a regular, everyday Gohan life episode, and you know what? It was just complete utter garbage. It was terrible, and you know, it was probably the worst episode in Dragon Ball Super. But that's my opinion. You guys might have a different opinion on the worst episode. I don't think that this one comes. This one's probably on many number ones list for worst Dragon Ball Super episode, and probably the worst Dragon Ball Z episode, in my opinion. Maybe even worse than Hercule and Majin Buu bonding episodes from the Buu saga. But anyway, guys, that's my video. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of this episode, or what the worst episode you think is. Let's see if we get over 50, 100. Give me 1,000 likes. Just drop me a goddamn like if you think that they should not make any more garbage episodes like this ever in Dragon Ball Super, especially with the Universal Survival Tournament coming up. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to Dragon Ball Black. It's going to be Dragon Ball Black signing off.